Welcome back to the post-game spread. Here are a few words from our sponsors before we get rolling. We are also brought to you by Matt Brewer. Matt is an attorney here in town at the law offices of Stephen Kelly. Matt exclusively practices in the areas of personal injury and workers' compensation. He can be reached at 217-544-8000 or mbrewer@stephenkelly.com. I loved competing against this guy growing up. He was an SHG grad, 2002, stud in football and baseball, went on to star for Dan Callahan at SIU Carbondale, and then had a one-year career pitching in the Diamondbacks organization. I ran into this guy the other day. He looks like he could still lace them up. We appreciate you, Matt. We are also brought to you by Jason Knadler and the Bank of Springfield. They have a whole baseball team over there. I'm talking Jason Knadler, Justin Knadler, Timmy Wallen, Eric Weaver, Ryan Murphy, Greg Morantz, Murph Mathiet, Frank Stefano. I trust these guys. I respect these guys. Go see them for all your banking needs. Bank boldly with BOS. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you. We are also brought to you by Body Cemetery, located at 2201 West White Oaks Drive, bodycemetery.com. More specifically, Chad Marshik, the owner, head trainer. This guy is just amazing on so many levels. He is capable of training anyone from a child to a pro athlete to just your normal everyday person to the elderly. And not only is he a trainer, but he is also adept with, physical therapy, nutrition. Everything is going to be customized to you and what you need. There's a movement analysis when you first come in to address any deficiencies you have. It's all customized. Chad is the most positive, happy guy I've ever been around. Body Cemetery will get you right. I would, put my faith in Chad and his trainers any day. So go to bodycemetery.com, get set up. Chad, we appreciate you. Thank you. We are also brought to you by 226 Sports, located at 3604 North Peoria Road, 217-670-1609. Springfield info at turn2outs.com. Multiple entities under this umbrella. Turn 2 training, which is team or individual instruction. Teams can come in and rent it out, or an individual can come in and get instruction from a top-of-the-line instructor. There's the Extreme Baseball and Softball Club, run by my buddy Kyle Welch. They have 9U all the way up to 17U teams, and Washco Strength and Speed, one of our other sponsors. We are officially backing this entity, and it's because of Kyle Welch. I love this guy. I love his passion. I love his knowledge. I love his vision. He's an absolute baseball dude. He knows hitting. Like I said, he has a vision to grow this into what Springfield deserves, and that's a top-of-the-line facility to help young ball players progress. I believe in Kyle as a person and as a leader of young men. Go see 226 Sports. Off air here, just talking baseball. Just to talk baseball with a brother of mine, just to talk about the game, how much we love it, the intricacies of it. We don't get a chance to do this or people don't get a chance to do this all the time, right?
Oh, yeah. I couldn't tell you the last time I got to, talk baseball like this.
Like this, right? Yeah.
This is stuff I, loved doing growing up and even in college. And like I was telling you off air, it's just kids nowadays, they don't do this stuff. And I think that's where some of the, romantic, geeks like us, they're lost because, like I said, they don't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's why I started the podcast, man. Just to be able to talk about it, right?
Absolutely.
I didn't get to do it, so I had to create something to do it. So here we go. All right. Coolest places you got to play in college?
Coolest places. Louisville was sweet. That was when turf was actually pretty new. I remember the first time, we went to Louisville and got to play on turf and seeing the different bounces, and I thought that was kind of neat. Ole Miss was always awesome. Mississippi State. Mm-hmm. Mississippi State on their opening home weekend, that's an atmosphere that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Magic. Duty Noble Field is an experience. If you love baseball, that's something to go see.
That's one of those places where, it's it's hard to put it into words. It's like baseball heaven.
Yeah, that's it.
When, that's when Coach Polk was still there, Ron Polk, and
right. Legend.
Yeah. UK was cool. Not quite, not even same atmosphere, but still cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, those take the cake for me.
Great yards. As a hitter, what drills did you like the most, worked the best for you when you played? Obviously you know a whole lot more about hitting now than you did when you played. So what's just when you played?
So just when I played, man, I was a looking back, I was not a smart hitter, especially knowing what I know now. If I could go back, good Lord.
It drives you nuts, right? Man, it drives me. Oh man.
So many things wrong. So many.
The amount of reps that I took wrong makes me sick to my stomach.
I was practicing bad habits.
Yeah, right.
Just my whole swing was bad.
Yeah.
It was just one bad, fundamentally talented swing. There are pictures where I look back and I'm like, how did I hit anything hard?
Yeah.
But I was a big tee guy. I did a lot of tee work, and that was coming from, my dad. My dad was such a firm believer in tee work and, moving the ball around, in, out, middle, up, down. I mentioned my dad a lot. Like, he was a damn good ball player, but a lot of the stuff that he was doing with Hunter and myself, that was stuff he read. Like, my dad read so many books just to try to help us get better. And, some of his teachings were probably not the greatest, but like at that time, he was doing everything that he was reading about, like trying to help us.
Same with my dad. Yeah.
A lot of tee work, a lot of flips, which nowadays I try to stay away from that as much as possible, just because you're not mimicking anywhere close to what you're going to be seeing in a game.
It's not a realistic plane,
No, it's not a realistic plane. It's not a realistic release point. It's just bad. But my dad's shoulder was shot, and so
you can get a lot of reps.
Yeah, and so literally it was flips, lots and lots of flips.
Same.
So, and God love him, he wanted us to get our work in. So
100%. What would you do different now if you could? If you could go back and change kind of how you prepared?
I wouldn't change anything about the tee work. Like we practiced so much good stuff off the tee, like creating and again, I'm going to say at the time, a fundamentally sound swing, and being able to handle all parts of the plate, and being able to have good plate coverage, being able to, hit a ball out front, let a ball get deep. Like, we worked on that stuff when we were hitting off the tee.
Did you have a tee routine that you would, start here and then you'd work your way through your progressions?
Yeah. So, that's funny because I can remember it vividly.
Let's get nerdy, Tio. Let's get nerdy, buddy.
We would always, I would always start, my dad, me and my brother, like low and in, because, I never had problems pulling the ball, but I didn't pull the ball a lot because my power alley was actually right center gap. Like, that's where I had the most pop. Mm-hmm. And so we would start, low in, low middle, low away. And then we would go kind of like belt high in, belt high middle, belt high away. And then we would always finish with like a tall tee, where I'm talking like it's almost at your tits. Yeah. And that kind of forced you to really get on plane and get that barrel above the baseball, get your hands above the baseball. And this is where I kind of feel like my dad was ahead of his time, where he would always talk about, he never necessarily said like get on top of the baseball, but he would always talk about hitting the baseball on that same plane that it's on at the tee. And I'm like, so like, I don't even think he realized that he was using like correct jargon, correct terminology, but
what we know now
ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And so we would always finish with, working, getting on top of that baseball, hitting it at that same plane.
Yeah.
Because whenever back in that time, like especially high school, my slumps were a lot because of losing my barrel on that backside. And so constantly finishing with everything up here, working, to that ball up and then staying through it.
Yeah. How How, knowing what you know now about the swing and mechanics, how frustrating is it to think back to just how your swing was, and what you thought was fundamentally sound, and movements you forced yourself into because and they weren't right? Is that maddening to you in ways?
It kills me. Absolutely kills me, because I pride myself on being a good hitting instructor and a good hitting coach, and trying to give guys good feedback. And then they'll ask me to like see pictures of me, and I'm like, no. Yeah. And I'm like, and they're like, why? And I said, guys, my swing, you want to do everything opposite. And it wasn't necessarily my swing. It was more of like my setup. I started in a horrible position. Like
tell me why.
I was taught at that early age, this elbow up, and it was like, that was the thing. You remember that? Like everybody, a lot of people hit with that. I had absolutely zero like hand speed. There was no like whippiness. It was a literal like push. With that top hand. Yep. And looking back, it's like when I would hit bombs, that was strictly like I caught something out front and like muscled it out, because there was no whip. There was no, barrel lag. There was nothing. It was like a push. And I look back and I'm like, there were times where I would get blown up on like two seams in. Well, no shit. I wonder why. Like, my elbow was up to the sky. How am I going to hit that?
Man, just how much I remember. I'm sure you were taught it too. Like a lot of pushing the push the knob to the ball inside hands. I mean, when you're disconnected out here, you're cooked. And that was. And I remember you being very spread out at one point, right?
So that actually helped for the time being, because I was a guy that I did have a stride like early in my career.
Okay.
But I wasn't a disciplined enough hitter to consistently get that front foot down.
Yeah.
And like I struggled with, timing and being able to get the foot down consistently and get the ball out front. And so again, that was my dad, like reading, like, listening to interviews. And I'll be honest with you, the whole reason that I ended up spreading out and going to that no stride, my dad watched Albert Pujols and listened to him talk.
Really? Wow.
And Albert Pujols talked about using his lower half, like basically with a rhythmic motion, like a weight shift back, like a smooth transition back, and then launching from there. And my dad explained it to me, and it was like, sounds good to me,
man.
And hit like that. But that's what's weird is like I look back at my lower half.
Yeah,
I was pleased with how my lower half was. It was
it moved pretty well.
Waist up was garbage. Everything was just. I could have literally scrapped it, started over.
It's kind of amazing that you were able to have some of the successes you did with the holes that you've kind of found in your swing. I've become a big proponent in understanding all these new swing mechanics and whatnot too. And it's like, once I first saw that the barrel moves rearward, and that you're creating bat speed back here behind you, and it's not your hands being pushed, it was like my mind was blown. And I'm not going to get into my own stuff, but like I had a very pushy swing a lot too. But every once in a while, I would have like what I call like a blackout swing, where my pushy mechanics would not be there. It was like my mind would get free, and I would do something where I would create a proper, barrel path and whip, and I would tank one, and I'd be like, how did I do that? Then I could never recreate that. And I would go back to those shitty, pushy, downward swings and whatnot, Drives me nuts. I don't know where I was going with that, but
no, interesting to say that. Some of the best swings that I remember having were when I was tired. Like my upper body was tired, and it almost forced me to relax my shoulders, relax my elbow, and then everything became quicker. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, why is my bat speed good right now? I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
never clicked. Never.
My thing was if I had like some of my best hitting days ever were my worst BPs, and I would be so frustrated with myself. I would say, F it. I'm just going to get in there and be really loose and swing hard. And I would tank one, and then I would be like, okay, well, now I got to go back to my pushy swing. Back to shit. Anyway.
Hitting is so frustrating.
The worst, man, but also the best. Okay, here we go. Do you believe in the power of positive thinking? Can you train your mind to think in a more positive way in terms of baseball and in life?
100%. Like I believe in that stuff. I would love to get someone's, methods on how they, well, not necessarily now because I'm not playing anymore, but when I was playing, I would have loved to have known what people did to do that. Because I think there's so much power in that, getting that positive self-talk and being in the box, telling yourself like Hunter said, I'm a bad motherfucker. I'm a bad motherfucker.
Did you have negative self-talk sometime in there?
All the time.
All the time.
A lot.
Myself too.
Especially, and what's sad is there'd be negative thoughts even when I was succeeding.
Yeah.
And it was almost like there were times where it was like I was hitting well and I'd feel good, but it was almost somewhere deep down inside, part of me was like, well, this isn't going to last.
I think that's called like imposter syndrome or something like that. Like you don't believe that you're as good as you are, or like what you're doing. Like you hit 350 your sophomore year, like you're a good hitter, right? But you're like, I don't believe that was, a true representation of my talent. Or I think I get what you're saying.
I think I always believed I was good. I just didn't ever think I was a great. I didn't ever consider myself like better than anyone else.
Yeah.
And I wish I could have been different in that aspect. I wish I could have had that confidence and exude that confidence because, you and I have talked about it. Some of the best baseball players that I've ever played with, horrible swings. Everything they did was so ass backwards, the most fundamentally unsound swings, but just thought that they were God's gift to hitting and they would rake.
Yeah.
And it's because they just believed in themselves.
The belief in yourself is something very, very powerful.
Absolutely. And I believe in that positive self-talk. I just, I didn't have the tools or methods to implement it, I guess.
How hard was it for you when baseball ended as a player?
It sucked, man. I went through some dark times, where, I texted you whenever I listened to it when April was talking about it. I probably wasn't a pleasant person to be around. And I thought he did a tremendous job explaining it. I lost my identity. I had no idea who I was because that's all I had known my whole life is T.O. baseball player. That's who I am. That's what I do. And it took me, a while to figure out what I was good at. And that's where I don't think it's talked about enough is when athletes get done playing, you lose this part of you that is such an enormous part of your life that you don't know what else you're good at. And that's what I struggle with. It's all right, I knew I was a baseball player and I was pretty good at it. What else is there to me? What else am I good at? What are my talents? What am I interested in?
Yeah.
And I had no answers.
Is anything going to light me up in the same way? Am I going to feel as motivated to do something? That's an interesting thing too, right? Like April said it, life's really not as cool after baseball. It's just, is anything as cool as lacing them up and being out there on that field?
What's going to give me the motivation to get up and grind towards something?
Yeah.
What is that? And if you would have asked me as soon as that last game ended, I would have told you I have no clue.
Yeah.
And it's still there was a while where it was I still don't know. And then, fortunately, coaching came along. And to be honest with you, I think it was not even necessarily that I was interested in coaching. It was just more of I was good at baseball. I know baseball. This just seemed like a logical path to go down.
Yeah. Well, what was that like? Was that a pretty sad experience? Your last game, can you remember that? Where man, I'm lacing them up for the last time right now.
Yeah. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were in the OVC tournament and, KT hit a walk-off or not KT. Yeah. No, who hit it? Somebody hit it. KT scored, I think. but we hit that walk-off to continue playing. But then we ended up getting beat the next game. And I remember as soon as the final out was made, just lost it. Like, I'm talking like boo-hooing through the line, like barely even be able to like shake hands because I am inconsolable. And whole bus trip, cried. Like, I'm pretty sure I don't even know if we went to dinner or if we went straight back to Murray. I went to like my apartment and just cried. Like, I don't even think I ate dinner. I just, lost it. Because it's like you battle this, because that's when it hits you. You're like, it's over. Like, this is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now what do I do? Yeah.
Yeah. I spent that whole night just crying. And then I think it was like the next day is when I started getting those phone calls, and it was just like, no, I'm done.
Really, man. It's crazy how much we can fall in love and get immersed in this game, right? Man.
Yeah.
What a magical thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever dabble in any sports psychology stuff or any of that kind of stuff during your playing days?
No, and I wish I would have, but again, like, I guess that's showing like how far we've come, with the mental side of baseball and just mental health in general, because I don't know if that stuff was even like, I don't even know if, I'm sure there were some people doing it, but it certainly wasn't an option for us, while we were playing.
Right.
Because I would have been, sign me up like right now.
Right.
I would have been all over it, but it wasn't something that was even offered.
Tell me, was there anyone's swing that you thought you were trying to emulate?
Manny Ramirez.
Oh, right. Yeah. Manny.
I mean, I would have loved, but again, like, I did so many things so wrong, but if anybody's, that's like trying to do something similar to his.
There's all kind of crazy new vernacular out there, lingo for hitting that was not around in our days. I mean, I'm talking about turning the barrel, tilt, posture, barrel path, scissor kicking, coiling, getting into your hip, all these terms that were like not there. Right.
Yeah.
How have your thoughts changed now, like on the swing?
So I pride myself on
staying up
to date with that stuff. If I'm going to be the best coach that I can possibly be for our players, I need to stay up to date on that stuff. And
I can't stand the old guy that's like, my way of hitting was right, hitting down. Like, it's not right, man. Like, let it go. There's new stuff out there. You need to learn. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no. Well, and that kind of leads me to, and I'll add on this, but, again, more advice. I was told by another coach, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
And so I took that to heart, and it's like, you constantly have to be learning. You constantly have to be growing. You have to, be, with the times. And, if you're not learning, if you're not growing, you're going to get left behind. And that's just how it is. And so a lot of the stuff I really like. I think some people get carried away with those buzzwords. I think a lot of that's eyewash. I think it's, I think it sells. I think a lot of people use it to, make themselves sound, I guess
smart.
Yeah, smart, and then kind of maybe try to distinguish themselves from other people. Like, it would do me no good to talk to our high school kids about, scapula and like all that stuff. Like, they're looking at me like, what are you talking about?
That would be too complex for them, too sophisticated. Absolutely. Yeah, scap loading. Yeah,
scap loading and all that stuff. It's so I try to take the stuff that I've learned and present it to them in a very, simple way that they can understand and that they can apply to their swing.
Yeah,
and I don't treat every person's swing the same. Like, that's the worst thing I think.
Well said. Yeah.
Any coach can do is, and I've been around guys like, hitting instructors that they have this cookie cutter swing where they teach every single kid to hit this particular way. And it's like, dude, that's bad. Like,
I agree.
Bad. Like, I agree. I hate trying to scrap a kid's complete swing and start over. Like, you have to have some sort of, comfort and some sort of.
What are the good parts that you can build on, right? You can scrap maybe some of it, but like keep, right. Yeah. Like if there are some natural movements that do work, build on those, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the worst thing you can do is go to a kid and, hey, we need to change this, and this. And it's like, well, shit, do I just suck? Or,
yeah,
demoralizing the kid. Like,
do you pay attention to like all the Instagram hitting coaches and stuff like that?
Oh yeah.
Who are some of your favorites?
So I really like Trey Hannum. Like, he does a phenomenal job.
He's incredible.
Man, he explains stuff so well, and he keeps it with just general statements. He makes it, dummy proof. Like, he doesn't try to overwhelm you with all these big terms, and he just keeps it simple. But yet he still does a really good job of explaining, what he's trying to get across. He's good. Man, there's one that I just started following not too long ago. I have to look it up. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he had a really good talk with Lance Berkman.
Okay.
I can't remember who it is, but it'll come to me. But yeah, he's really good too. Like, makes hitting super simple. I try to keep up with a lot of those guys.
Me too. I would have loved to have been privy to a lot of this information. Maybe it would have driven me crazy, but man, I would have liked a chance to have implemented some of these things for sure. I'm sure you would too.
I think there's some guys that get overwhelmed with the access to all that information.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I could be completely wrong, but I almost feel like, especially with how me and you are, I think it could have helped because we would have been able to see things as opposed to just trying to go and change things that we didn't even know we were doing.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
And so we were attacking certain, intricacies of our swing that were fine when we should have been looking at, XYZ.
Yeah.
But that stuff wasn't around then. So
perfect segue into this. Talk to me about feel versus real in hitting.
So, honestly, and you'll, I'll have to get you with Hunter on this, because Hunter, like, talking hitting with him now, oh my gosh, some of the stuff that he learned, like, just with his time in pro ball.
I would love to.
Dude, so cool. So Hunter has got such a cool perspective on feel versus real. And he would always, like, we'd hit together like in off season. And one of like his big things when he would be hitting in the cage, like, he would start doing some like random stuff. And I of course, being a sponge, and even with him, like, I'm 7 years older than him. I do all the research and stuff. I'm always willing to learn. I am not too prideful to say, hey, what are you doing there? Like,
keep that mind open. Yeah.
It's not like this big brother, little brother thing. It's like, dude, whatever you got, pour it on me.
I want to learn. Yeah.
And so, what's real, like, this was one of the term, like, basically one of the things that he would always say. He would be searching for a feel in his swing.
Oh, that felt right to him?
Yes. And so, like, when things would get out of whack, he would make everything, he would simplify everything. Like, and his big thing was isolation. So things didn't feel right in his lower half, he would completely isolate his lower half. And then he would start from ground zero and just start searching for that feel. And then all of a sudden, light bulb, and he'd go, there it is. And I'm like, what? Shit. And he'd go, that's it. That's what I'm looking for. And then
his body recognized the correct movement pattern again. He found it again. There's a genius to athletic movements, 100%.
And then same thing, waist up. Like, a lot of the things he would do, like no stride drills, where, like, literally completely keep your lower half stationary, where all you're doing is working hands to the ball and working up the middle. Mm-hmm. And he would be completely using nothing but hands, searching for that feel, searching for that correct bat path, searching where that barrel's going. And then all of a sudden he'd go, yep, there it is.
Man.
And I'm like, bro, that's crazy. And he goes, dude, half of hitting is just searching for that feel. And he said he found that from, guys that he'd be playing with. They would completely change their swing, like in a BP. And he's like, what in the hell are you doing? And they'd be like, trying to find that feel, man. Lost it, trying to find it.
Really?
That's crazy.
Man.
Yeah.
That's a great story, dude.
Yeah. Trying to search for that feel.
Let me ask you this. I asked Aper this. I kind of led him a little bit, but I think that was a great answer, dude. I find it really fascinating that, there used to be guys like Pujols and A-Rod that really thought they were being handsy and thought they were swinging down and getting their hands extended out in front of them and knob to the ball and all these things that we know through video evidence are not true. But they were doing drills thinking they were doing that, right? Mm-hmm. And it created, and because of those, or maybe, I don't know, in spite of those, they were the greatest hitters in the game, right? But why do those drills work to make their swings efficient but ruin other swings?
I think it all comes down to.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, I know. I think and I don't even know if there is an answer to that, but it's all about, again, looking for that feel that not necessarily is what you want to do, but the feel that is in turn giving you your best possible swing that's going to produce the max results. Because there were a lot of things that, even Hunter was saying, like, I'm trying to feel this, but that's not what I'm going out looking to do.
Would he ever do some pretty exaggerated movements?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Like, he was a very top hand, dominant hitter. Mm-hmm. Like his top hand, I'm talking wham, that was his bread and butter. And sometimes he would lose the feel for that. And he would start doing one arm drills where I'm talking here, and then he'd stop and he'd go, I have to feel this coming through. And so I'm talking balls in a pitching machine that are upper 80s, and he's like this with one arm.
Really?
Yeah. Just trying to find that feel that,
oh man,
giving him that correct swing in his mind.
I got to get this guy on, man. You got to hook me up.
Dude,
I know we've talked about bringing him on.
It's so cool talking hitting with him now because he is light years ahead of me with that whole approach, mindset. And he came and talked to our team. Unbelievable. We have guest speakers come and talk to our players. He came and talked. He did a cool PowerPoint presentation on your approach and everything. Dude, wow. It was freaking insane. Wow. I was in the front row taking notes.
That's so cool. That's so cool. All right. We got more hitting stuff, but I'm just knocking out questions as I got them here. Best baseball video game?
Ooh. Dude, that college baseball game on man, it was awesome. That PlayStation game.
I always remember there was they stopped making it, and was there a rumor they were going to expand? We were going to be on it the next year. I thought it was supposed to be Murray. The OVC was supposed to be in it if they were going to make it again, and they didn't make it again. Yeah. Would have been cool to have been on a video game.
I loved that game. I played that so much.
Oh, so much. So fun. Yeah. So well done. The gameplay.
Old games and stuff the RBI baseball. I played it, but I'll be honest with you, man. I wasn't a big video game guy growing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Teacher Man? Richard Shank, the hitting guy.
So he gets so much hate. That's the one thing I despise about social media is any person that comes with, some off the wall idea or off the wall teachings, they're immediately met with just pure hatred. And it's dude, there's so many different ways to teach hitting. There's so many different ways that, might click with somebody. Who am I to say that this guy's completely wrong? You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Now, do I think his methods apply to little league to high school? Absolutely not. Not even close. If I try to take his teachings to our high school team, we would be arguably the worst offensive hitting team.
Because it would just be balls not getting out or just get in the air. Just
balls.
What?
Yeah. And everything that I've seen with him is you're trying to create more, balls in the air, more uphill swing as opposed to, line drives. And that shit doesn't play in high school. We don't have guys that are 6'6", 250. Like, You're not going to have a high school guy that's going to hit, 40 jacks. Like it's not going to happen. So I'm not going to try to teach a guy to hit the ball in the air. Now, I'm also not going to go to the polar opposite end of the spectrum, and I'm not telling our players, hey, we need to hit a bunch of ground balls. There's a happy medium with everything. Like, just because you want to get rid of an uphill swing doesn't mean you want to chop down on the ball.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's where the disparity is. It's like you can have that happy medium. You just have to learn how to explain it to the kids.
Well said.
So
when you were a hitter, were you a yes guy? Like I'm hitting, or were you a read it out of the pitcher's hand and then decide I'm going to swing at this pitch?
I was yes until I knew it was not anywhere close that I could handle.
I think that's the correct approach. That's beautiful.
Yeah. We preach, being yes, and then spitting on pitches.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're up there and your first reaction isn't yes, you're not ready to hit. Like you're going to get your doors blown off.
Yeah.
If you're constantly, you're in that attack mode, you're going to be ready to hit, and then you can adjust. Yeah. Like you can't be no, maybe, yes. Like you're late. Like the ball's already in the catcher's mitt.
At the higher levels of baseball, what do you think about obviously being yes all the way? That's correct. But picking a side of the plate, essentially, like I'm being aggressive on the outside, you're looking for velocity on the outside or inside, or what are your thoughts on that?
So again, that's where Hunter shed so much light on, and I've been able to take this to high school, which has helped tremendously. So when Hunter started talking to me about like his approach and, giving up certain portions of the plate, he said, when you're in pro ball, you can't go up there being prepared to hit every pitch. He goes, it's not possible. He goes, pitchers are too good. He goes, if you do that, you're going to struggle. And he goes, you ain't gonna last long. So you have to be willing to give up certain portions of the dish. And then he even gave me like, examples, and I never even crossed my mind before, but he's like, you watch a big league game and you see a guy get rung up on a fastball inner half and he doesn't even move and it's strike three. He goes, he gave up that inside part of the plate. That's why he struck out looking. It
would have been a wasted swing to even attempt it.
Yep. He said he gave up that inner half because the tendencies,
told him to guess outside. Yeah.
Stats, the numbers, everything. Cause they have all that, tips.
Yeah.
Everything pointed to this guy lives, middle out. So I'm going to give up inner half. If he throws it there, hats off to him. And like he said, you have to do that. And so, and then his big thing too is going up there, taking the most recent information that you have. He goes, which is any of the guys that hit before you. He goes, you have to develop some sort of game plan before you go up there. He goes, is he locating his changeup? Is he locating his slider? Like, is he commanding his fastball? Like, what's he trying to get ahead with? He said, because you can't go up there looking for all those pitches. So he goes, usually I'll look at the guys that hit before me. And if I see he's not locating a certain pitch, I'm eliminating that already. So immediately when I see he's throwing it, I'm spitting on it before it's even to the plate.
Yeah.
And he said, now if he somehow throws it for a strike, again, tip of the cap.
Yeah.
So be it. He said, but I have to go by the most recent information. So he would eliminate pitches going into an at bat, like where legit he's in the box and he's like, I'm not going to swing at this pitch. If he throws me 3 straight hammers down the dick, I'm taking all 3.
Yeah.
And he said, and you have to live and die by that approach. He said, or you won't succeed. And
I love that.
Damn, dude.
I never heard anything. You know what? I don't want to make this about me at all. And I'm not comparing myself to your brother by any means, but we never heard anything like that in college. I didn't, right? Nothing like that. That's high level shit. I had a little bit of time in indie ball, and I eventually was told that approach. And when I put it into practice, it was like a light bulb. I was like, oh my God. As soon as the ball came out of his hand, I'd be like, oh, that's not my pitch. It made it, I would be like, okay, I'm sitting outside corner. I'm going to try to hammer a ball to right field right now. And I'd spit on, and I started walking a lot too, which was not something I ever did. So, I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
When he started talking to me about that approach, it was this light bulb moment for me. And it was more of like, where the hell was this when I was playing? Like, I was far from any of that. Like, I grew up in that, sit fastball, adjust to everything else.
Same.
Well, that's a lot of fucking pitches to adjust.
A lot of pitches. Especially when they start getting good and there's run and sink and they can really move it around.
Hence why, when a guy was throwing a slider to this day, like that was my kryptonite. If a dude threw me 10 straight sliders and I knew they were coming, I still would swing it all through. And they could have been in the other batter's box. That was one pitch I couldn't pick up, but it was like, he started talking to me about that, and I'm like, dude, that makes so much sense. And then when you carry that into high school, dude, it's easy. High school pitchers, you can eliminate a pitch in warm-ups.
Yeah.
Because these high school pitchers, they can't command all their pitches.
Right.
So, we've faced some pretty good dudes, and it's like, I can see right away, like, hey, this guy's bread and butter is his changeup, but right now he's not locating it. Spit on it.
Yeah.
If you see this right here, put the bat on your shoulder.
Man, I'm having so much fun talking baseball with you, dude. This is fun, man.
Yeah.
Man.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
Hunter, his hitting philosophy is so deep, and it's like,
send me that dude's number, man. I need to start chopping it up with him.
Yeah.
All right. We're still going here. If every time you walked into a room, intro music played right now, what song would you choose?
This time in my life, dude, I'd have to go with Grits.
That's a great one. Yeah, that's a great vibe. Okay. Who was the best pick me up teammate that you remember at Murray? Pick you up guy.
That's a tough one, just because I feel like we had guys that would pick you up, but it wasn't like anyone consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there wasn't like that one guy that's like, oh, he's the cheerleader. I guess you're right. That's a great point.
Calhoun was always good for making
comic relief.
Like I remember Wes had a little temper back then, and I don't know if Wes told this. I don't think he told it on the podcast, but there was one time when Wes struck out or something, and he just obliterated his helmet. Like, I'm talking just cracked it. I think the earpieces flew off. It was done. And he threw it in the trash. Calhoun went and picked it up out of the trash and put it on his head, and then went and sat next to Wes.
And only Calhoun could get away with that, right?
Yeah, and I think Wes ended up laughing.
I guess you could just answer. My next one was, who's your funniest teammate? It's got to be Decal, right?
Decal was up there for sure. Yeah, I think it's got to be Calhoun.
Best infield arm of the guys you played with at Murray.
Best infield arm. Damn, that's a tough one. Man, when Tiki was healthy, he had a cannon.
Absolute bazooka. We're actually perfect time. Let's talk about Taylor Tiki, man. What a weird career he had. First of all, love that guy. He was my roommate on road trips. Do you remember that fall he had where he was just unconscious, could not get out?
Dude, video game numbers.
I really thought this guy had pro tools, and then his wrist blew up, and he was never the same, and was kind of pitching at the end. It was, I don't know. Yeah, but very talented guy, right?
Oh, size, arm strength. He could I mean, when he got his arms extended, had crazy pop. Like, yeah, he could play.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else.
Tell me about how talented Tyler Pittman was.
Honestly, man, Pitt may be.
I've got some thoughts.
Yeah, Pitt may be one of the most talented / athletic teammates I've ever played with.
Yeah.
Like, Pittman was, and I don't even know if you knew this, like, I'm fairly certain he played varsity baseball, basketball, and football from 7th grade all the way to his senior year. I'm not exaggerating. I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
Like, he was a freak athlete, and he had a cannon.
Yeah. One of the best, probably the best outfield instincts I think I've ever seen. It was like, I don't think he was an absolute burner speed-wise, but it just like immaculate jumps. He was always underneath the ball. He was like a Jim Edmonds in a way, and just like maybe not like the acrobatic part of it, but just like immaculate timing and understanding and feel for the game of being where he's supposed to be at.
There were times where you would think he was running like at contact, like he already knew where the ball was going. Yeah, he had a gift for that for sure.
I always thought he was an absolute, pro tools guy. I don't want this to sound negative at all, but I feel like he was probably pretty burnt out on baseball kind of towards the end.
I think so too.
I
think so too.
Yep. Okay. What about a best outfield arm? Can you think of that? Does anyone stand out?
He had a cannon.
Go T-Pitt.
Lincoln Kent had a really good arm. And granted, another guy that had injuries or battled a ton of injuries, Lightoff. I'm not sure if people knew, Lightoff had a rocket for an arm.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Could sling it. Those are guys off the top of my head.
What about best infield hands? Who had the softest?
Hudson had some really good hands at second base.
He did, man. He was a nice second baseman.
Yeah. And this was before you, but Phil Lopez could pick it.
I never got to see Phil, but everyone talked about how amazing he was. Yeah, with the leather. Could you?
He'll describe himself as a scrappy hitter.
Scrappy hitter. Could you ever see seams out of the pitcher's hands?
Yes. Yes. I could see, the dot for curveball, fastballs I could read, but the one that I could not see sliders. Like, I just could not.
Yeah, that was your kryptonite.
Man, when they would throw a slider, it was fastball. And that's why I was such a fastball hitter that that's what I was, I jumped on. I attacked wherever in the zone I was hitting a fastball. That's why I couldn't hit sliders. It's like I would see fastball, so I'm immediately geared up. And then I couldn't hold my swing. Because then you're like attack mode, and then all of a sudden it starts doing this, and you're like, oh, shit.
Well said. Most talented teammate. You can name a couple if you want.
Pittman's for sure.
Yeah.
Up there. Sauce was were you there when he was a shortstop?
No, I just missed it.
So Sauce was a hell of a shortstop.
Really?
And then just for him to be able to transition from playing shortstop to then being one of our top pitchers and then signing, with the Cubs.
A free agent deal.
It's crazy.
And he had a nice little pro career too.
Yeah. Super talented.
Yeah.
Nasty on the mound.
Ricky Flicky. Yeah. Wes, obviously.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dude, Chad Allen was an athlete, talented.
Chad Allen. Okay. That was my next question. Who were some of your most athletic teammates?
Chad Allen was good. He just wasn't very smart.
Yeah. Yeah, he had some power. He had some pop.
Yeah. KT for sure.
Yeah.
KT's just an athlete.
He was.
Dude, even seeing him this past weekend, the dude looks like he can still play D1 baseball right now.
He looks great. Yeah. He was a phenomenal athlete. Yeah.
Like KT's one of those guys where you could just see him playing like anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same too.
Who had the best? Who was like the smartest teammate?
Wes is for sure.
Let's go.
Wes is up there. And even though he played the dumbass card, dude, Pittman was brilliant.
Well said. What was your most fun year in baseball?
College?
Any. You can name any year.
My senior year of high school playing in the state championship. That's hard to. That's certainly one of them. Sophomore year was
At Murray.
Yeah, sophomore year at Murray was fun just because I hit well, but our team sucked.
Yep.
Or actually, we were better than we were freshman year.
What was your least favorite year?
Probably sophomore year of high school, man. I look back at that, and I hated baseball.
Name a couple of the coaches that had the most impact on you.
Well, one right off the bat, Jeremy Jones. That's who I coach with now. Or yeah, he's the head coach at North now. He coached me in summer ball. Dude, he's players coach, man. Like just everything you would want in a coach. Just would jump your ass when you needed to, but would have fun. Just a players coach, man. Like you would run through a brick wall for that guy. Mm-hmm. I loved Mac as a person, man. Like, like a great dude, and just would give you the shirt off his back. And honestly, like baseball knowledge wise, just like I think he's like a baseball book. Like he
is. He's like an encyclopedia of baseball.
Oh my gosh, some of the things that he knows, and not to mention like just I wasn't a catcher, but holy cow! Like I feel like that is one position that, especially at the high school level, it's kind of like one of those positions that's not coached up enough.
Yeah.
What he can do with catchers and, what he's able to get out of them, it's mind blowing. I think it was more of just kind of the motivational aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. How would you recommend building arm strength? What are your are you a long toss guy? What are your thoughts?
Big time long toss guy.
Mm-hmm.
Long toss. Like I long tossed all the time when I was a kid.
And how would you long toss?
So I was similar to you and Aper. Like I don't even remember who talked to me about it, but I think it was a coach of mine that was talking about long tossing and literally just like airing it out, like not trying to like grunt and all that, but like throwing it super high, super far.
It out. Yeah.
Yeah. Like literally feeling that stretch and like really reaching out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's like more of like, it shouldn't be like a strenuous activity. It's more of like a stretch. And then you're building that strength and, you're building on that with every throw.
Yeah.
And I did that. Like, it was one of those things where I was told about it and I just took it and ran with it. And it's like, there's no such thing as doing this too much. I'm going to do it every day. And so like I long toss all the time. And like, that's one thing I prided myself on, I guess, was my arm strength. I felt like I always had a really good arm.
Yes, I agree.
Crazy to think there are parts of me that I wish I could have been a closer, like come in and just
shove.
So I can't. Calhoun remembers it, but I don't know. I don't think you were there yet, but it was maybe freshman year, sophomore year. Our relievers were struggling mightily, and Y had it, and he basically had open tryouts to pitch. Like, we need somebody that can get the job done. And I'm like, here's my chance. And I went out there and I pitched. And I was throwing gas.
Really?
Yeah. And Y was like, I think gonna like, advocate for me like coming in. And I was all about it. And I'm pretty sure Mac was like, no.
No way. Not my third baseman, no.
Yeah. I remember being in college off season, I would get on the mound just for shits and gigs. And I hit like low 90s.
No shit. I believe that. You have absolute cannon over there.
And it was like literally ear.
Really?
Oh,
hammer?
Yeah.
Did you have any secondary pitches?
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll figure that one out.
In my head, I probably did, but I'm not sure if they did anything.
Do you have a most memorable game from college?
Most memorable game? Yeah, there's actually a couple. So one of the pictures I sent to you where, so the one of me hitting where G-Mac in the background looking super thrilled to be there. That particular game, I bomb off. It was at Samford, and I hit a bomb off guy by the name of, and it's crazy I remember this, lefty by the name of Josh Imke, and he was like their number one. He was really good. Yeah. And he owned me the year before, freshman year. Like I'm talking, I think they were like our first conference series, and I went 0 for like the weekend.
Ate you up.
Diced me up, like made me look stupid. And I hit that bomb off him, and it was like, got you. Like, that was cool. Yeah. And then another one, Morehead State. I think it was sophomore year. We played at Morehead State. I think it was the Sunday game, and I went 5 for 5 in that game.
Oh,
like
man.
Unconscious.
What a game! 5 for 5.
Dude, that was like best feeling in the world.
Did you have any pregame rituals or superstitions or anything like that?
I'm sure I did, but I think I was one of the only like superstitions I remember is if I had a good game and I ate something in particular, I would try to eat it again.
Do it again.
Something stupid like that.
Yeah. Looking back on your career, is there anything that stands out, like you are the most proud of, or you're proud of this, or getting through this, or doing this, or?
I think it was cool how we had progress every year that I was at Murray State. I kind of am proud of that, like where we were not good my freshman year at all. Like we were not great. And then year by year, I think we went, it's like 15-40 or something my freshman year.
You felt the program heading in a better direction.
Yeah. And then like 18-38. And then I don't remember the exact, but then like 20-25 or whatever it was. And then by my senior year, we were above 500. And so it was like, that was kind of cool, like to see that progression. Like that was,
do you look at the program now and see where it's at and like feel a sense of pride being a part of that? Like being.
Oh, for sure. Sure.
I think it is cool.
Yeah. I think that's what's neat about Murray is it's big, but yet it's still small enough to where like, it's like a close knit group where you almost still feel a part of the program and like that you somehow made like a small imprint on it. Like you stamped it a little bit. I don't know.
That's perfect. I love that. Do you have a most memorable bomb you hit?
Yeah. Senior day. Hit one on my last home game at Murray State.
Did you?
I did.
Murray was a hard yard to get it out of, man.
Yeah.
Big.
It felt like a graveyard. Now those guys that Skirk has got, they make it look easy.
Right, they're hitting tanks all the time. They got some boppers.
Now they got like 5-6 dudes that all have like 12, 15 jacks. It's like,
it's impressive. Obviously, they're doing some things right, hitting wise there, and recruiting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that was most memorable one. I hit one on senior day against Austin P. That was cool.
We've kind of talked about this a little bit. Maybe this is too deep of a question or too open-ended, but for a player struggling with confidence and overthinking, like how would you overcome it, or what would you do differently looking back?
Man, I would just try to tell if I could go back in a time, I'd just tell myself, dude, chill out. Like, it's not that deep. Like, there's so much more to you than your successes or failures in baseball. And I think if I could have done that or believed that, I think it would have taken a lot of pressure off.
Well said.
Not saying I would have listened to myself, but
I mean, would you, looking back on your Murray career, do you feel like it was more on the enjoyable side or on it was difficult for you? Playing wise,
I think both.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were certainly a lot of enjoyable parts, but then also a lot of downs for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I think, you just have times where you look back and you're kind of disappointed how certain things turned out, but it is what it is. It's life, I guess.
Right, man. Right. Speaking of, as a player, what do you miss most about the game?
Man, this type of stuff right here, like
the camaraderie of it.
Yeah, man. Like, and it's funny. Like, I tell people that all the time. It's the bus rides, the hotel stays, like the late nights where you're just shooting the shit. Like,
I miss that too.
No cares in the world, like no obligations. It's just you with your boys and just getting to hang out. Like, that's the stuff that, I think about all the time. Like, those were, you talk about enjoyable parts. That was like the enjoyable stuff for sure.
I love that. What have you kept from your career? Obviously, you just showed me your gloves still in game ready,
Oh, dude, I've got a lot.
Lots of stuff. Okay.
I got jerseys, hats. I still got gloves, got bats. Dude, I got all kinds of shit.
Pimping home runs, yay or nay?
Yay. Absolutely.
Me too, man. I feel the same way. I feel like it's weird. There's a lot of guys from our era and older that are kind of split on that. They're like, you're disrespecting the game, but I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's fun. Like, I like seeing it. I like the celebrations.
But I will tell you, if you're somebody that pimps a home run and you're okay with pimping a home run, you better be okay if the dude blows your doors off and he lets you know about it. You better be okay with that too.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't agree with that more. Any dumb traditions in baseball you think should be gone?
This may be an unpopular opinion, and it's not like something that happens all the time. I think the national anthem standoffs are weird. Why? I mean, that may be unpopular, but like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's odd.
Get them out.
Just, dude, let's play ball. Like, what are we doing?
Dinner with I just put three people dead or alive, but let's make them ball players.
Man, that is tough. 3. God, I could go so many different ways with this. Damn. I think, dude, I'd have to have like a lot of dinners because there's.
That's
I think
great.
Jackie Robinson would like picking his brain about the shit that he went through. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth, that'd be awesome. Like, I would love to hear. Wouldn't you love to like hear what his philosophy on hitting was?
Oh yeah, right. It'd probably be so simple. Like,
something cool. King Griffey Jr., that'd be awesome.
Is he the coolest baseball player of all time?
Dude, he's like a photographer or something. Like, he's just awesome.
Yeah, man. The kid.
Yeah, I think I'd just have to have a lot of dinners.
That works. Yeah, a lot of dinners. All right. I want to move on to right after you got done at Murray as a player, did you essentially go right into coaching at Mid-Con?
I did. As soon as
so this guy ended up coaching. What were they, an NAIA?
Yeah, they were NAIA.
NAIA small school in Kentucky, mid-continent, no longer a school.
No.
Tell me a little bit about how that happened and your experience with that.
So, yeah, as soon as I got done playing,
head coach.
Yeah, as soon as I got done playing, Pittman was actually coaching there, and again, I had no idea I didn't know what the next step was after I got done playing, and Pittman had reached out to me and kind of expressed the idea of, hey, coming to Mid-Continent and helping out. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. So my first year there, I was a volunteer assistant and, basically just grinded out the season, like did lessons on the side to earn money, basically anything to earn money, camps, stuff like that. Really enjoyed it. Like it kind of gave me a refreshing outlook on baseball again, like the kind of bitterness subsided. And then I felt like I was able to get over that by kind of feeling like I was giving back to the game. Like, hey, taking my failures and turning them into positives. So I could tell kids like, hey, this is what I did. It didn't work out.
Yeah. Turn your pain, turn your suffering into something useful. That's exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, was a volunteer. And then the next year was fortunate to be hired as an assistant. And I was an assistant for, I don't know how many years, like all this stuff is like a blur now, but was assistant for a while. And then our head coach ended up stepping down and I became the interim head coach. He stepped down in like the middle of the season and I became the interim head coach, finished the year out. And I thought it was going to be kind of just a interim transition into being the full-time head coach. They wanted to go through the hiring process. And so I had to apply for the job and, went through the whole interview process and I was kind of nervous. Like there were some good applicants coming in, but eventually, got the job. I was super, super excited. Had a good team coming back and really honestly worked my ass off recruiting and had some really good ball players coming in and ended up getting decal on staff.
Yeah, you brought decal on, yeah.
As the pitching coach. And went through the fall. Our fall workouts were awesome. Like I was pleased with the team that we were going to put on the field. Like I thought, we were going to be in the mix and get to the spring. And I want to say it was like right before our first weekend series, I got a call from our athletic director to come meet with him. And the whole time I'm sitting here thinking like, what did one of the players do? Did they get a DUI? Did they cheat on a test? Like all these thoughts going through my head. So going to his office and he's, emotional. And I'm like, oh God, like this is not going to be good. Still thinking like a player did something. And he proceeds to tell me, that our season is being canceled because the school's being shut down.
What?
I'm looking at him like, what? What are you talking about, dude?
Right.
And he said, yeah, the Department of Education is shutting our school down. And
wow.
I said, how does that happen? And he said, I can't get into all the details yet, but, you have to cancel your season. And that was like a kind of what the hell just happened moment. And so I have to go back to the locker room and tell this, team full of guys like, hey, we don't have a season. And like, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Cause they're wanting answers that I don't have. And, so, I told them that once I got more answers that I would get with them, I'd, be transparent and upfront and, that I'd just, let them know what I know. But as of right now, we're not playing today. We're not playing this weekend.
Man,
here we are. And, word got out, obviously pretty quickly. And, we were super fortunate to have some players at Mid-Continent that came from very financially well-off parents that came to me and said, look, we want to help get these guys their season. We'll pay for it. And I'm like,
wow,
you're paying for a college baseball season. I said, that's a lot. They go, we've got some other families going to help out. I think if I remember correctly, they gave me like a credit card and I just used that. Yeah. And so I want to say we played our conference schedule maybe, and maybe some midweeks, but we ended up having a season simply because they paid for it.
Wow. That is incredible.
Yeah. And so,
what kind of money are we talking about? Does it take to do that?
Dude, it was insane. Like I'm talking, all meals, food.
Did you have any kind of an estimate on what that even was?
I couldn't even give you an estimate because it was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we ended up, finishing the season. I was coaching basically for free. Calhoun was coaching for free. And then we have this family credit card where we're paying for everything. And then at the end of the season, sat down with every player and I said, this is it. Like we're done. You guys need to think about where you might want to transfer to, and I will do everything in my power to, get you to that point. And I said, but let's be realistic because, you always have some of those kids that are like, oh, I want to go to Texas. And you're like, bro, you're at Mid-Continent. No,
right.
Burrito, and he's not going to take you from Mayfield, Kentucky. So, basically finished the year and then met with the kids. They wrote down colleges, and then the next month after the season ended, I spent calling college coaches every day saying, hey, I got so-and-so, our school just shut down, blah, 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 blah. And that was it.
And then you were done with baseball after that, right?
So, I ended up – so Mid-Continent closed down, and fortunately at that time, myself and some other guys in Paducah had a hitting facility, like a baseball and softball hitting facility, right. Fielding, pitching, all that, that I bought into. I think it was like my second year as a coach, and luckily I had that. So I gave lessons full time that for a while. And then I started the process of the soul searching, job searching, like what am I going to be good at?
Yeah. Did you do insurance for a while or?
Yeah. So
I remember that.
Pittman thought I would be good in selling insurance. And I said, okay, whatever. I'll give it a shot. And I worked for Kentucky Farm Bureau for a while, selling insurance. Not for me. I was not good at it at all. And it was not, definitely wasn't for me. So,
what other paths did you take before you found your way back to like baseball and teaching?
So I did insurance. That didn't work out. And then I ended up applying for a job at St. Mary's School System, which is in Paducah. It was where my Cynthia was teaching at the time, my wife. And I became the marketing and enrollment specialist for the school, which I thought was going to be, trying to get students to come to St. Mary. But it turned out that I ended up being in charge of like their Facebook page, their Twitter page, and like their announcements. And it, for those that don't know, Paducah is like in the Bible Belt of Kentucky, like very hardcore Southern Baptist roots, Catholic school. It's not necessarily like busting at the seams in that area. So enrollment was not skyrocketing. And needless to say, like my position was like cut like after 1 year. So ended up not having a job again. And so went back to giving lessons full time. And during that time period, I mean, hell, even when I got the head coaching job, I'd bought a house, got engaged. And so Cynthia's with this dude trying to find his she had no idea what she had signed up for.
Stuck by her man.
Yeah. And so, I gave lessons full time for a while. And then we ended up finding out we were pregnant with twins, and then they had their medical issues. And so one night she kind of asked me, you know, what is keeping us here? And I go, nothing. And so at that point, we were like, we need to move back to Indiana, try to, you know, get closer to family. And so we decided to put our house on the market and start looking in Indiana. Our house in Paducah sold in like 2 days. And so then it was like, oh shit,
we actually got to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then it went from, you know, this being like this idea to like, we're packing up, like we got to get out. And so then, we ended up continuing looking for houses in Indiana, and ended up actually getting a house that her parents built because they property developers. And so in their neighborhood just worked out. And so when we first got back, Cynthia was obviously at home with the boys still because they were in the NICU for a while. Ellis was in the NICU for 97 days and Everett was in the NICU for 58 days, I think. So, and during this time, like when we're selling our house and stuff, Cynthia ended up having to go on bed rest in Cincinnati because where they do that surgery that I talked about earlier, one of the closest places was Cincinnati, Ohio. So she ended up going to Cincinnati into the hospital, being on bed rest while I'm in Paducah giving lessons, trying to sell the house all during this time.
Man,
I would give lessons Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. As soon as my last lesson was over, I'd get in my truck, drive to Cincinnati. I'd get there at 1 a.m. Friday, sleep in the hospital with her. I'd stay Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, wake up at the ass crack of dawn on Monday, drive back to Paducah, do it all over again.
Does that even seem like, that just seems like, I don't even know. Like it's weird the things that we get through sometimes in life, right? And you look back and you're like, how did I get through that?
Yeah. And that's why the dates and like what year and all that stuff, it's a blur because it was just, that was such a weird, traumatic time period where it's like I feel like my brain has kind of blocked out like the
repressed
little bits and pieces of the specifics, but we grinded it out and then finally got back to Indiana. And then when we got back, it was one of those deals where it's like, dude, I need a job like now. And so I pretty much just applied for the very first job that I saw that was opening, and it was a place called ViewTech, and basically it's an on-site supplier for Toyota. They made different parts of Toyota vehicles, so we would make certain things that would go to Toyota to be in their vehicles. And I started off as it was a production specialist, which I think in the job description, it said that I was supposed to watch the line and try to figure out how I could make it more efficient. And I'll be honest with you, dude, and this is no exaggeration, the first 2 months I worked there, I didn't even know what my job was.
What am I here?
I would walk around, like we had this huge warehouse. I would walk around the warehouse for 8 straight hours and just walk in circles just so it looked like I was busy because I had no idea what I was supposed to do.
Were you worried that someone was going to like catch on to what you were doing or not doing?
Part of me wanted for someone to catch on because I didn't know what to do. Like I just would just be there. And no one would ask me like, hey, are you getting whatever? It was just, hey, Tyler. And I'm like, hey. And
how long did this go on for?
So I guess I did such a great job as production specialist. Later on, we had a supervisor quit and they said, hey, we want you to be the production supervisor. And I'm like, I don't even know what my other job was. How am I going to know what this is? And they were like, we think you'd be perfect for it because you were a coach. Basically, you're just coaching these workers. And I'm like, is this like I have to take it? And they go, yeah, pretty much. And I'm like,
okay.
So I ended up becoming the supervisor of an assembly line that was inside of Toyota. So that was, needless to say, a wake-up call because, again, no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
But eventually kind of learned how to do some stuff, learned what we were making, actually learned how to do some of the processes. But man, that, not shitting on anybody that does it for a living, but that was not for me. Like I was basically working, 12-hour, 13-hour days. And I'm talking Monday through Saturday most of the time.
Oh man.
And just, it was one of those days or one of those times where I was waking up every morning just like dreading my job and like dreading my being. And
that sucks. Yeah.
I probably was not a pleasant person to be around during that time period. And finally, I talked to Cynthia and I'm like, I can't do this shit. Like, I am not happy. And she was like, don't do it anymore. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And she, kind of said,
what makes you happy?
Or what? She goes, what makes you happy? And I was like, I liked coaching. And she said, then coach. And she said, why don't you teach? And I'm like, I don't want to go back to school. For some reason, I had it stuck in my head that like,
I don't want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. For me to teach, I would have to go back to college and like be a student again. And like, I never even researched what you would need to do.
Yeah.
I was being a dumbass. And so I was like, you know what? I'll just find out what I have to do. So I ended up calling Matt Kelly and I said, is there any way you could find out what I would need to do to become a high school teacher? And he said, I could tell you right now. And I go, what? And he goes, this transition to teaching program. I go, what's that? He said, basically you can take your bachelor's degree and turn it into a teaching certification with literally a few classes. I'm like, you're shitting me. He said, no, I'm dead serious. I was like, okay. So I ended up finding some online classes through Indiana Wesleyan University. They had a transition to teaching program.
Really?
Yep. Took some classes all online and got my teaching certification in 1 year.
Wow.
And all that time, like while I was taking online classes, I was subbing. I got on the coaching staff at North.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history.
Are you happy?
Dude, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Teaching is, it's so cool because it's like you get that same sensation from coaching, but just like in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, and it's cool like with high school kids because you can like mess around with them and
I love that, dude. I love how the game pulled you back.
Yeah, it really did. Like, but that's kind of, what we talked about. I mean, it's like, it took me from 2009 to 2019 to figure out what I wanted to do after baseball.
Yeah.
So 10 years.
Yeah, man. I love it. Full circle.
Yeah.
Sure. We've got 2 questions left, buddy.
Wow.
We're at the end of the road here. Do you have baseball dreams?
I do. I have a ton of them, actually.
Let's go.
But what's very ironic is they are, and I know I've mentioned his name. He's going to think I'm like jocking his nuts, but Aper, they're very similar to like his. They're weird. Like and I'm sure it's got some deep meaning that I probably need to go see a psychologist about. But I have this dream consistently, not like, every night, but it's like random times where I hit a ball into a gap and I'm running down the first baseline and I'm running as fast as I can, but I'm not moving.
Yeah, there's because his was similar to that, wasn't it?
And it's like I'm in like not a quicksand, like not like I'm sinking, but it's just like I'm not going anywhere. And I'm like in my dream, I'm like huffing it, like I'm about to hit a dub, and like I'm not going anywhere. And then I'm freaking out. And I have that dream all the time.
Really?
Yeah, like at least once a month.
I'm sure a psychiatrist or a psychologist could put roots to that, but I can't. Do you have any others? That's interesting.
And then I have random dreams like where I'm a pitcher, like just stupid stuff.
Really? Stuff like that?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, we'll just go to our last one. I like this one. And this is the one where you're not allowed to, you can't answer, I wouldn't change a thing. That's the answer I'm taking away from you. If you could go back now with the knowledge and experience that you have as, a late 30s guy, you've been around the game, you've had time to analyze your own game, what went right, what went wrong. What would you do different? What would you tell 18-year-old T.O.?
I would definitely tell myself to lighten up. I would tell myself, to give yourself some credit. Don't be so hard on yourself. Try to, be more confident. Try to understand that, you are a good ball player. Don't try to harp on the negative. Try to see the positive in things. I definitely wouldn't change, where I went to school. I would go back in time. I'd go to Murray in a heartbeat again. Let's see. Yeah, I think it was more just I would go back and try to change just my viewpoint on things, like how I think. Like, cut yourself some slack.
Well said.
And I think that would have helped drastically in a lot of aspects.
Well, buddy, how was this experience for you?
Dude, this is amazing.
You had some fun?
Absolutely.
This was everything that I thought it was going to be. I have always wanted to kind of talk baseball like this with you, and you didn't disappoint. You are truly a high-level baseball mind. A lot of these podcasts center around more of people's stories and what they went through. And I loved hearing about your stuff, but man, I really loved hearing just your thoughts on the game and like hitting and things like that. That was fascinating to me. I am so thrilled that you have found your way back to the game, man. I think you are a baseball guy, and that you're able to share all of what you've been through and your ups and your downs, and that you can now pass that on, dude. Like, man, those kids are so fucking lucky, man. That's the first F-bomb I've dropped on here, but I mean it, man, for emphasis. Like, they are lucky, and it's so cool to see the life you've built. You're a great guy. I've always really liked you, and great teammate, and I like seeing people do well. And, the world is a better place with you in it, my brother. I love you, man. This was awesome.
This was a ton of fun. My only question is, when are we doing this again?
Oh, man, I know, right? We could keep going, man. I could just talk baseball forever and how it kind of connects with your life. And maybe if we got one more, are there anything that jumps out to you just like life lesson wise that baseball just was like, bam, this really helped me,
Yeah. I mean, and I think just not necessarily even baseball, just sports in general. And I talk to our players about it all the time, but if we had more of this in today's society, I think we'd be better off. But, being a part of a team, like, learning other people's opinions, learning their beliefs, playing with different, backgrounds, different, races, everything. It's, you come from so many different walks of life, but then you create this, brotherhood. You can create this family, and you become such a better person because of it, because I feel like we live in the society now where people can't have conversations anymore, where they can't, for some reason we've gotten to the point where if I disagree with what you think, you're a piece of shit and I'm a piece of shit. Like,
what a wild world we live in right now, man.
Dude, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, there were, Lord knows when we were playing together, like, me and you thought a lot different than other people thought, but they weren't wrong because of it. Like, we took baseball a hell of a lot more seriously than, say, Calhoun. But is Calhoun a bad guy for it? No. Like, it worked
anyway, and it wouldn't have worked for him anyway. If he had tried to be a you or me and how much we cared about the game in that way, it wouldn't have worked for him.
No. And so that's the biggest thing that I talk to our guys about all the time. It's like, take time to get to know your teammates, take time to, listen to stuff that they think outside of baseball. Like, and that's going to, make them closer together, which in turn is going to make your team closer. And, some of the best teams I've ever been on were guys that, had each other's backs and that, were a close knit group. I'm not saying they got along all the time. That's not what it's about, but they respected one another and they were close and they went to bat for one another.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Man, I love that. Well, this is the end of the road, my friend. This has been an honor and a privilege, not only to do this with you, but to call you a brother and a friend. Dirty Breads for life. You got anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to take us out of here.
Dude, this has been awesome. Absolutely loved it. Thanks for having me on, bud.
I love you too, buddy. Post-game spread. We are out of here. This was Tyler Owen, T.O. himself. We're out. Love you, buddy.
Love you, man.
Love you, buddy. I'm going to start editing it right now.
All right.
All right, buddy. Good night.
Night.